The starship Voyager happens upon a 1936 Ford pickup truck floating in space. This leads them to a planet that they land the ship on to investigate. There, they discover a number of cryogenically frozen human beings, all kidnapped from Earth in the year 1937. Among them is long-lost aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart, who disappeared over the Pacific Ocean in July of 1937. The away team comes under attack, whereupon it is discovered that their attackers are also human beings. The Voyager crew discovers that there is a sizable human presence on the planet, descendants of people taken from Earth in 37. Now, the crew must decide whether to stay on this new Earth or resume their course for home. The episode ends with the crew united, Starfleet and Maquis alike, in their desire to remain aboard the ship and continue their journey to Earth, while the 37's, including Amelia Earhart, elect to remain behind with their descendants in the Delta Quadrant. The 37's is officially the premiere episode of Star Trek Voyager's second season, but interestingly enough, it didn't begin life that way. The episode was originally produced as part of Voyager's first season, and according to co-writer Brannon Braga, was meant to be the final episode of that season. In many ways, the themes of this episode seem more fitting to a season finale, with the crew coming together with a renewed vote of confidence in Captain Janeway and the mission of Voyager to find a way home. This episode should be lauded for its portrayal of one pioneer meeting another. Amelia Earhart was a groundbreaking figure in aviation, breaking barriers and proving that women are just as capable as men. While the character of Captain Janeway in-universe is just the latest in a long line of female starship captains, in the real world of 1995 when Voyager premiered, the character can be seen as a huge milestone, the first woman lead of a Star Trek series and commanding the titular starship in Star Trek Voyager. The moment when she meets Earhart, whom she acknowledges as a huge inspiration in her life, is a poignant one. Sharon Lawrence's performance as Amelia Earhart is a highlight of this episode. She has a quiet professionalism to her that is a pleasure to watch. Level-headed and affable, this historical figure is beautifully brought to life by Lawrence. Landing the starship Voyager. Voyager's landing sequence was beautiful, and I did love it. But the justification for it in this episode is somewhat problematic. First, the excuse for putting it in the episode was a little flimsy. It didn't really add anything to the episode, plot-wise. Second, we later learn about the huge civilization of humans on this planet living in 3 beautiful cities. Clearly, Voyager was unable to scan and detect these cities from orbit. Therefore, at the beginning of this episode, as far as the Voyager crew is concerned, there is entirely a possibility that there might be a pre-warp civilization on this planet. No worries about the Prime Directive whatsoever, though. Let's just land a starship and hope no one sees. Still, it is a beautiful sequence from start to finish, and something new and unique in Star Trek at this point in its history. After what is presumably years, and possibly centuries floating in the vacuum of space, there is no way that this truck would start. Paris says that there's still water in the radiator. No way. It would have long evaporated by this point.
We live in 3 beautiful cities, only 50 miles from here.
Oh, I'd like to see your cities.
And I'd like to show them to you.
Boy, they sure talk up those cities, huh? I cannot wait to see them.
Evansville wasn't exaggerating when he said they have a lot to be proud of here. It was an amazing experience, but it's left me a little disturbed.
Oh, okay. No cities. We just hear about them in a captain's log. I guess there wasn't room to show the cities in the budget for this episode. I wonder why that would be. Oh, right. Let's talk about the monumental unlikeliness of finding this truck and this planet in the Delta Quadrant. Space is big, like unimaginably big. This is a coincidence of such huge proportions that the fact that no one even comments on it is glaring. Still, it's generally a fun and interesting story, but incredibly unlikely. At the end of the episode, no one on Voyager's crew decides to stay, and none of the 37's decide to accompany Voyager on its journey home. Really? No one? This is a divided crew less than a year into its voyage. I find it incredibly difficult to believe that not one single person would want to stay. The misfits from Season 1's Learning Curve and from the much later Good Shepherd come to mind. Similarly, Amelia Earhart's decision to stay on the planet just did not ring true to me. The episode has spent the last 45 minutes setting up her character as an adventure seeker who is incredibly fascinated by Voyager and the idea of space travel, only to have her decide to stay at the last minute. That decision definitely didn't follow given what we learn about her over the course of this episode. My final rating for the 37's is 3 out of 5 stars. I liked it. Despite glaring issues of probability and some disappointment in how the story is ultimately resolved, this is still a fascinating episode with an interesting concept. There are a lot of small things wrong with the episode, but overall, I like the dilemma faced by Janeway as she wonders if her crew will abandon their journey home. This dilemma, however, isn't resolved in the most satisfactory fashion. I also do feel the need to reward the ambition shown by the writers of this episode. I like big swings, and Voyager finding Amelia Earhart in the Delta Quadrant after having been abducted by aliens is certainly a big swing. Some may see this as cheesy or over the top, but I can't help but admire the boldness. Sharon Lawrence's performance as Amelia Earhart also pulls this episode's score up, but not quite enough to warrant a 4-star rating.
Sorry. I suggest we increase the ventilation in the cargo bay before we are asphyxiated.
Captain, I think I should tell you I've never actually landed a starship before.
That's all right, Lieutenant. Neither have I.
Looks like some kind of power source. It appears to be some sort of mine shaft.
Some kind of power signature. This looks like some kind of cryostasis chamber.
Some sort of leather jacket. Others thought that she and Noonan had flown off together on some sort of romantic adventure.
This one's armed with some kind of weapon.
It looks like they're using some kind of deflection system to trick our sensors.